Our quote for today is, "This morning I accidentally dropped my hardbound edition of A Christmas Carol on my foot. It hurt like the dickens." I like the story of the two missionaries on their bicycles that were riding through the African jungle, and they came out into a tribe of cannibals. And the chief cannibal saw these two missionaries arrive on their bicycles, and he turned to his wife and said, "Honey, look what arrived, Meals on Wheels." Today, Our Lady is on a mission of mercy. After she received the Son of God in her womb, miraculously at the Annunciation, Our Lady had the God of the universe in her womb, but she was told that her cousin Elizabeth, who had been barren her whole life, she was an elderly cousin, was now expecting and in her 6th month. So Our Lady does not think of herself, she immediately thinks of her cousin. And that's why we have today's gospel on this 4th Sunday of Advent. We always have reading about our Blessed Mother on the 4th Sunday of Advent. See, on the 2nd and 3rd Sunday, we've been hearing how John the Baptist prepares us for Christ and to accept Christ at Christmas. But today we have Our Lady, the most perfect one to prepare our hearts for Christmas this coming week. So we see in the Visitation, Mary on a mission of mercy. Mary is the first missionary. She's the first evangelist. Because an evangelist is somebody who brings Jesus to others, who brings the good news to others. Our Lady was the first evangelist. She showed her love and concern for her cousin, her love of neighbor. In Advent's a time to think of the needy, the poor, the elderly, the unborn, to think of how we can do works of mercy, works of charity to help those in need. We see Our Lady's tremendous faith, believing what the angel said to her, and immediately going in haste to help somebody in need. So we see Our Lady as a humble servant of the Lord. Remember, Our Lady had just become the Mother of God. She had the God of the universe in her womb. She could have sat back on her couch and had somebody feed her grapes, but that was not the kind of queen Mary was. Mary was a servant queen, and she did not think of herself. She was so unselfish. Again, a great Advent quality. So it says our Blessed Mother went to help her cousin, and it says she traveled into the hill country of Judah. This is a place which we know today as An Karem. If you've been to the Holy Land, it's right on the outskirts of Jerusalem. So it was about a 90-mile journey for our Blessed Mother, very treacherous uphill journey. And of course, Our Lady would not have gone by herself. In those days, a 16-year-old girl would not travel by herself. It was way too dangerous. Imagine even today, having a 16-year-old girl walk from, let's say, Virginia to Philadelphia or New York City. That would not happen. And so Joseph would have gone with her into the hill country. And if you go there today, there is a beautiful basilica built over the house of Zechariah and Elizabeth in An Karem. And I love it. I had the privilege of going there a few times and saying Mass there. On the outer gardens, it looks like the Franciscan monastery in D.C., you have Our Lady's Magnificat written in over 100 different languages, Our Lady's Canticle of Praise. Just like at the Franciscan monastery, you have the Hail Mary in hundreds of languages in the gardens. And so as soon as Mary enters the house of Zechariah, she greets Elizabeth. Mary says Elizabeth's name, and what happens? Mary's voice carries with it grace. Mary's voice is an instrument of grace. Mary's voice is music, and Elizabeth hears Mary's greeting, but it's John the Baptist, who's 6 months in his mother's womb, who leaps for joy. And the word here is not just, the baby just doesn't kick, the baby just doesn't stir, he actually leaps, he does a dance, like King David, who leapt and danced before the Ark of the Covenant. So now John the Baptist leaps and dances before the Ark of the New Covenant, who is our Blessed Mother, because she contains within her womb the Son of God, the presence of God. And so he leaps for joy. John cannot yet speak, he's unborn, but he can use body language. And so he is filled with joy and filled with the Holy Spirit. The church teaches this is when John the Baptist was cleansed and sanctified of original sin. This was John's baptism. This when he had original sin removed from him when he was 6 months in his mother's womb. Again, we see Our Lady as the mediatrix of grace, the channel of grace. That's what it means, a mediatrix, a channel, because she brought Jesus. Remember, Jesus is only, again, there's about a 6-day journey. So Jesus is only a 6-day-old conception in Mary's womb, and yet he's truly present. And John is 6 months old in Elizabeth's womb. Mary perhaps is maybe 16 years of age. Elizabeth, they speculate, might have been about 60 years of age. So we have 2 mothers and 2 unborn infants meeting, and great things happen. John the Baptist is sanctified. It says Elizabeth is filled with the Holy Spirit. She cries out in a loud voice, which is a liturgical shout, and cries out. Notice she praises Mary and praises Jesus. And this is in the Hail Mary. Blessed are you among women, and blessed is the fruit of your womb. So we say that in the Hail Mary, that Mary is the most blessed among all women ever created, and the fruit of her womb, who is Jesus, is truly sacred and blessed and a gift. But then Elizabeth shows her humility and says, how does this happen to me that the mother of my Lord should come to me? How did Elizabeth even know that Mary was expecting? Mary didn't get on WhatsApp, or she didn't Instagram, or she didn't send a message. How did Elizabeth know? The Holy Spirit enlightened Elizabeth that her young maiden cousin, who was betrothed to Joseph, was with child. Even though it was only 6 days ago, she could tell that Mary was expecting the God of the universe and had Jesus in her womb, because she says, who am I that the mother of my Lord, Adonai, mother of God, the mother of the Kyrios, the mother of my Lord, should come to me. So Elizabeth shows her great humility at her younger cousin, that she pays her great respect and reverence. And just as King David had said, who am I that the ark of the Lord should come to me? Elizabeth says, who am I that the mother of the Lord should come to me? That's my guess, and that this is when St. Joseph discovered that Mary was with child. When he heard the voice of Elizabeth say, blessed is the fruit of your womb, who am I that the mother of my Lord? St. Joseph said, what did you just say? And so that's when he then had to discern, was he worthy to be the spouse of the mother of God and to be the foster father of the Son of God. And so then most likely Our Lady would have stayed, we know, for 3 months with Elizabeth to help her give birth to John the Baptist. St. Joseph would have gone back home to work as a carpenter and then come back 3 months later to pick her up. And of course he spent a great deal of time praying and discerning what to do. And of course God told him that he was to be part of the plan, that he would name Jesus, and that this son would be the ruler of Israel and the King of Kings. And so the gospel ends with Elizabeth praising Mary's faith. Blessed are you, Mary, who believed. In other words, you had faith. What was spoken to you by the Lord would be fulfilled. And remember, Zechariah is still deaf and mute because he did not believe the angel Gabriel. So she's basically saying, blessed are you, Mary, unlike my deaf and mute husband over here, who did not have great faith. You are the great woman of faith. So today, on the fourth Sunday of Advent, think about the qualities of Our Lady. Think about her concern and love for neighbor, her concern for the elderly, the unborn, her charity, her humility, her faith, her service, her evangelization that she does, because Our Lady, of course, is the most perfect way to prepare our hearts for Christ at Christmas.